new over established, less maintenance, less repairs, less stamp duty. Which one's going to rent first? It'll rent for more depreciation. That was probably my biggest property mistake. That gave me a lesson which has saved us a load and our clients over the years.
Welcome back to Brick to the Future, here with Cam McClellan. G'day, Cam.
Hey, Al. Thanks for having me.
Cam just sped me up. I'm too slow normally. We're talking today about buying new versus established.
There's 4 reasons why people prefer established. 2 what they can see and 2 what they can't see. I want to just go through a couple of them.
Give it to us.
Let me explain. All right, so the first 2 that they can see are visual appeal. People want to buy established because they can see the house.
Nice garden.
Nice garden, picket fence. They can see the house. There's something physical and tangible there.
Yep.
The other thing is emotion. So once people see the property, they feel like they can drive past it. They can, feel like they're living there. So they're the 2 things people can see. The 2 things that people are fearful when considering building are the builder can go broke and delays, and they can be costly. And it can take a while to get a house finished. We understand that, and we've seen that in Perth when there was building shortage, supply shortages. It took quite a while to get homes finished.
Did everyone of them get finished?
Everyone of them got finished, yeah. And what was the average growth was sort of 100 to
200-ish,
yeah, 200. Rental yields were $200 more per week than first anticipated.
30% up, yep.
So the outcome is great in that sort of market.
Bit of pain in between.
Bit of pain in between. So the 2 things that we talked about were visual appeal is, and this is what frustrates me with new versus old, because people focus so much on the house itself. So the house is part of the asset. Now, if we think about, we go through assets and liabilities. So just really quickly, we think about what makes a good asset. It's the building goes down in value, the land goes up. So when people look at the visual appeal, what they're looking at is they're getting excited about the part of the asset which actually goes down in value.
The shitty part.
Yeah, the shitty part. Yeah, that's right. So they're focused on the shitty part of the asset. So instead, if we're thinking about building new, we think about there's probably 5 reasons why it makes sense. So tenant appeal and more rent. If you've got an established house and a new house in a street, which one's going to rent first? It's a question.
Oh, well, I was looking at you. I think the new one will rent first.
Yes,
definitely.
Well, good answer.
Tick.
Good answer.
Tick to L.
Yeah, and it'll rent for more, won't it?
Yes, Cam.
Yes, that's right. So on a new house, you got less maintenance, less repairs.
That's the big one for me. Honestly, the people don't factor in.
Yeah.
They buy established, they re-stump it 6 months later. I didn't allow for that 15 grand I needed to spend. The aircon shit itself, I didn't allow for that.
Exactly. And the beautiful thing about the start of a new house is you've got a period, depending on what you negotiate with the builder, where any rectifications can get done. If tower rails go loose, which on a new house they do. What amazes me with people when they get a house is they think they buy the house and never have to do any repairs and maintenance. If you get a new, and I don't know why people are being accustomed to this, if you get a new car, you know it needs to be serviced. If it's used, it needs to be serviced. So you're going to have to do repairs and maintenance along the way. The good thing about a new house is there's less than an established house because it's old and shitty.
Yeah, so you can't buy a car and use the same tyres for 20 years and drive around on rims.
No, that's
it's
right.
not worth it what it's worth to start.
Exactly. All right, so we've gone over those first 2. The next thing is when you're buying new is there's less stamp duty. So you pay stamp duty on the land value as opposed to the land and building when you're buying established. So your land value is generally half-ish, thereabouts.
It is.
You happy with that?
I'm happy with that.
Yeah? All right. The other good thing, and this is the real doozy, this is what I love when it comes to buying new over established, and as you know, both early days we bought a lot of established homes. In the last 15 years I've only purchased new homes to add to my portfolio. In the first year or so, if your cash flow is not neutral, you might be chipping in $100 a week. The good thing about that is that with the depreciation you can reduce your taxable income, so it helps cover that holding cost until the rent goes up enough and that property is cash flow positive and you tuck it away. So more depreciation on a new home, especially over those first few years, is a real help for investors to be able to hold the properties.
That's what gets many people started.
Absolutely.
That gives them the ability to start.
Absolutely, yeah. So if we take emotion out of investing and we think, well, if you've got guarantees over your builder, ensuring that they're financially sound, guaranteed they're going to finish in certain time frames, or that they pay you liquidated damages, then you've got nothing to worry about there. The other thing people, I think, make big mistakes on when buying an investment property is if they're visualising it, they're visualising themselves to live in it, and therefore they look for something that quite often doesn't make the best investment. So when we provide investment properties for our own portfolio and to our clients, I don't look at the colours. My team does that. I don't look at the room structure. They design the optimal size and property for that specific area. So probably the last one. So if we've knocked out those basic ones about investing, if you think about, people talk about the term overcapitalising. Yeah.
What's that like?
I don't think anyone really knows what the fuck overcapitalising means.
Let me say it's like a bad haircut.
And
Time fixes it.
Overcapitalising is like a bad haircut. Time fixes everything. But you don't have to overcapitalise. People don't. They know the term, what it means. You're spending too much for something that you're paying more for the capital. The issue is people don't know how to perfectly capitalise. So the way you do that is by building the optimal size and quality property for a specific area. So if you're battling everyone, so that's why the team at OpenCorp are good. So if you go to a builder, they want to build big. Real estate agents want to build big.
Well, they want to build big because they make more. Bigger the house,
they make more.
Bigger the cost, more the margin.
Correct. Real estate agents want bigger because it's easier to rent or to sell. Tenants want bigger. Drafts people want to design bigger because they're proud and they're just like drawing big boxes. But investors like the optimal size and quality. So if I give you an example, if you're building a 20-metre home and it's 10,000 a square, 1,000 a square thereabouts.
Yep.
If you can save $10,000 by bringing the wall in 500 mil, it's still livable and you don't notice any difference. Well, you're saving $10,000. You're not going to get any more in bank panel valuation, no more in rent for that, but you got $10,000 in your back pocket.
We started doing this together. A journey on property 25 years ago, right? And let's say it took us the first 5 years of that through a bit of trial and error to work out.
Yeah.
People rent bedrooms.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you can reduce your living area by 500 mil, does that impact your rent? No. Guess what?
So
you're making a better return on your investment, a better yield on your rent.
Absolutely.
You get the same tenant appeal.
Yeah, and this is where I suppose clients of OpenCorp learn from our mistakes. So that was probably my biggest property mistake, I think. If you remember back, so we're married to sisters, not our own sisters, that'd be weird, but our wives are sisters. Our father-in-law, so when I first met Felicity, Elle and I had been doing a few developments. We'd done dual locks and triacs, and we were young, 20-year-olds, knocking out a few developments, and I was going with Felicity. She was 19. I talked her into buying, remember that, her first property. And I went home and told her father, Pete, that I've just talked his daughter into buying a property without his consent or knowledge whatsoever. You can imagine he got the shits pretty bad. He didn't talk to me for about a good hour or so. It's fairly aggressive. Then once he started asking a couple of questions, where is it, what is it, we said, well, look, it's not actually just an investment property. We're putting 4 units on the back of it. Absolutely lost his shit then. But this comes down to learning.
But just on Pete, sorry, remember what you're going to say.
Yeah.
Pete's one of the greatest guys I've known, but he's a real meat and potatoes guy. Like he's from an era where you get a job when you're 16, you work at the government till you retire, and own your own house and pay it off. So
that's it for him.
This was mind blowing for him to even hear this concept of property investing, let alone
he's got this.
His daughter's a mogul.
This young punk from the country's come down to his HQ and talked to his 19-year-old. Yeah, very tight jeans, long hair back then, and talked his daughter into buying not just investment property, but her first home as she's buying. She's doing a 4-unit development on the back of it.
You loved it.
Yeah, the issue with that, this came to be one of the greatest property mistakes, one of the greatest lessons that our clients at OpenCorp have made hundreds of thousands of dollars over the years profit because of
millions,
my mistake.
Probably.
Well, millions now, but each time they're buying, they're making, probably saving $40,000-$50,000 by not overcapitalising each time.
Gotcha. Yep.
And the reason for that is, if you remember that block, I bought it for Felicity bought it for $370,000 in Baronia. It was 2,600 square metres. Went to the drafty. We'd been doing dual locks and triacs at that stage and squeezing the smallest thing we can get into the backyards. When I went to Bruce Patterson, the drafty out in Bayswater, and said, mate, can you stick 4 units on the back of this as a design? He just went, there's heaps of room, so he just whacked 4 big boxes on there. I went through council. As they're going through council, getting approved, getting priced up. Then I went and checked out my sales rate. So I did my FISO. I did it the wrong way. So by the time I'd worked out that I had my plans, it was going to cost me $40,000, or Felicity, $40,000 per unit to build more than we'd get in valuation or sales return on it. So basically we're wasting 160 grand. by not building. So there was a perfect size for that suburb that if we built larger than that, we wouldn't get it back in sales return. So now our acquisition and build team, when they're working with builders for our clients, we analyse that area down to the nth degree, so we're dollar perfect on maximising exactly the perfect capitalisation for every house in that area. Now, if you buy established, you can't do that. So, long-winded story, we sold that. It's $370,000 purchase for $512,000 with plans and permits. So our mistake, we made $200,000 on it, or $130,000, whatever it might be. But so it wasn't an absolute train smash, but that gave me a lesson which has saved us a fuckload and our clients over the years.
And I don't want people to listen and think, oh, you build little shitters that are terrible houses.
No, these are great houses.
If someone drove down a street where our clients are putting properties, we're helping them to invest, I would nearly guarantee our rents are better because our layouts are better. They're well thought through. There's 25 years of learning's gone into what they're going to look like versus someone ducking into a display village and saying, plonk this house on this bit of land. So there's a fair bit of smarts that go into making sure you got that brand new house right.
Yeah, and if you think about, just so people are really clear, there's probably four types of housing. There's first home buyers, which is the smallest, cheapest piece of crap you can get. Then there's investor quality, which is built perfectly for the type of tenant you want to attract in that area, which is a higher quality and probably larger spec. Then there's homes, and then there's uber rich. So people think investor quality and they think it's the lowest rung. First home buyers is the shittest of shit.
Yeah, I reckon you're being a bit harsh with that.
Oh no, I'm just saying if a first home buyer comes in, they've got a limited budget, so they go to a volume builder.
Pull the spec back.
Yeah, they go to a volume builder and they go, this is what I've got, and they get the lowest rung. You know, unless they got so no disrespect to first home buyers. I was a first home buyer once too.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
All right, so have we knocked out new versus established, and we've quite clearly shown that new is a better option every time.
Yeah, and I think there's one last thing you sort of touched on it, or we sort of touched on it, and that's probably a depreciation piece.
Yeah.
So a brand new property is depreciated. Everything in it's depreciated. It's brand new. Some things have 10 years, some have 40 years, but all of it gets depreciated starting on day one.
Specific rate, yeah.
But if you bought a house that's new, that's not getting as much rent, most likely.
Oh, that's established, you mean?
Established, sorry, buy something established. The chance they're not getting as much rent because it's new, but you can't depreciate. So all these tax benefits you talked about before are vanishing at the same time. So Cam, I talk about it in a specific way that, you know, the demons that can wake people up in the middle of the night, and one that people often get caught with, and I've had it at times, is how deep's the cash flow hole, is how I put it. Like you're funneling out money, you don't know when that will stop, and you don't know if you can survive the depths of the well that you're putting money into. And I think of it at times that people who've bought an established investment property,
felt comfortable because they could see it, but don't know the costs that are coming.
Yeah, that's what's hidden underneath. So everyone knows the horror stories, like you had to re-stump a house, or you had to put an air conditioner, which you talked about before, or
new dishwasher
as well in the first 12 months.
Yeah.
And the well got so deep they didn't know when it would stop that they sold the property.
Yeah.
They made a loss.
Yeah.
So I probably can't stress enough to people that importance of having just full control on your cash flow. So on day one, when you sit down and look at your property, and you talked before about your 90% of the time works every time, that if you're buying a brand new property, you basically know to the dollar your costs over the first 12, 24 months.
Yeah, correct. And our team do a property investment analysis, taking into account what your wages are, the depreciation schedule. So on any property, you should get a conveyancer out to do a depreciation schedule, which you then hand to your accountant, and that gives you the rate that you can depreciate fixtures and fittings. That is a much higher rate, and that's what covers the holding cost. So it's hundreds of dollars extra in your back pocket off a new property as opposed to an established.
Yeah, I think that guy got a building and pest, didn't he, that had those dramas?
Building pest and still needed restumping.
So that's our view on new versus old. Thanks for tuning in. Hello@opencorp.com.au, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks.